So over the last 14 years, I've built myself up from being broke, overweight, party boy to where I am today, in the best shape of my life, living in my dream home overlooking the ocean and running a home service business that does over $1 million a month. Today, I'm going to share with you 15 brutally honest business lessons that I had to learn the hard way. 1, you're going to lose friends. So about 10 years ago now, I was in Bali, I was drinking, I was partying, I was hooking up with random girls, and I almost died. How did I almost die? Well, I would have had about 50 Jaeger bombs in a night. Pretty much from that point onwards, I decided that enough was enough and I gave up the vices, I gave up the drinking overnight. Instead, I started getting up early, going to the gym, going for runs, eating clean, focusing on myself and becoming the best I could be. And I pretty much said no to everything that wasn't aligned with that. Some people that I was hanging out with were okay with that, but truthfully, a lot weren't okay with it. Here's the thing that you need to understand. When you start growing, not everyone is on the same page with you and more than likely will distance themselves from you. It's okay. Initially, I was hurt, but to get ahead in life, to build the business of your dreams, you need to sacrifice one thing for another and the benefit was worth the pain. 2, the game is rigged, but integrity wins long term. In business and life, people are gonna lie, they're gonna cheat, they're gonna cut corners. Essentially, they're gonna do whatever it takes to get ahead in life. The annoying part is, it works, sometimes anyway. You sit back and watch them lie, cheat, cut corners. You see their business grow and you become envious, right? You sit there and go, well, if they can do it and get away with it, so can I. Well, the thing is in business and life, it's important to have a moral compass. I won't go too deep, but essentially things you stand for, these things make you you. If you're doing shit that doesn't align with who you are, then what you'll find is that you'll have internal conflict and start feeling like shit. Here's what I've learned. In business, integrity wins and the cheats will eventually sell themselves short. At the end of the day, business is tough. And the last thing you want is to be in battle with yourself because you're doing shit that doesn't sit right. 3, you don't build businesses, you build people who build businesses. Man, did I do it wrong when I first started? I remember I started my business over like a decade ago now. I'd work sunrise to sunset 7 days a week. I'd think that I could outwork everyone. It didn't help that I had this voice in the back of my head saying that the only way to get successful was to grind day in and day out. I honestly think I got this mindset from my grandfather and father. They wanted to do everything themselves to save money, but this came at the result of working huge hours. Look, I learned an amazing work ethic, but I'd say not the best business advice if you want to get ahead. The thing is, as I started to work harder and harder, things didn't get easier. They got more difficult and things started to slip through the cracks. Honestly, because I was the one who didn't want to let go of control, I was becoming the biggest bottleneck of the business. Remember, if you want to grow a business, you can't just outwork everyone. There's only 24 hours in a day. What you need to do is hire the right people and put them in the right seats, and then from there, you train them well, and they'll grow your business for you. So every time you're doing something, it's so important to ask yourself, who can I build up so that I don't need to do this again? Before I move on to number 4, guys, it's pretty tough building a YouTube channel. If you're getting value, remember to smash that like button and hit subscribe. 4, don't just delegate, coach. When I first hired people, I thought I could just delegate something to them and be done with it. I honestly thought that I would be able to spend a few minutes telling them what to do and voila, it would be done. But I soon found out that that wasn't the case and that wasn't the best approach because everything was getting messed up and I'd spend more time fixing their mistakes than if I actually had done it myself. This is a trap because people don't delegate properly, get frustrated because no one can do it as good as them, so they revert back to doing it themselves, and again, you're the bottleneck. I remember hearing something that when you delegate something, you ultimately still have control over the task. If you're delegating, you need to coach them to ensure they can successfully complete the task. So how do you do this? Create a video, coach them, provide them with regular feedback to the point where you can just check in on them every now and then and ask them if they need anything from you. 5, strategy is what you don't do. When I first started my business, I'll take on every job, I'll do everything and work for everyone. The thing is, I was spread too damn thin, which caused me to do everything you could say average. If you do a little bit of everything average, you'll never develop the product or service to be able to do one thing really well. See, when Steve Jobs returned to Apple after being fired, he culled hundreds of product lines relentlessly and focused on a few core ideas, and this is what perpetuated Apple to be worth trillions of dollars. See, people get strategy messed up. They think when they build a strategy, it's about doing more. The thing is, when building a business, strategy is about picking your one thing or a couple of things and doing those things really, really well. 6, responsibility beats motivation. I think deep down inside, we all know this, but some of us refuse to accept it. Motivation is great when it's there. The thing is, motivation is like free Wi-Fi at best. It comes and goes. What's so much more powerful when building a business is responsibility. Because when building a business, initially your family is going to depend on you, and then your work is going to depend on you, and then your customers will depend on you. Being responsible forces you to show up even when you don't feel like it. The challenge that so many people face is that they wait for motivation to strike. And when does it strike? Not often. But when you're responsible, even if you don't feel like it, you'll get the job done. So stop waiting for motivation and start being responsible. And when you start acting, motivation will naturally come up. 7, imposter syndrome just means you're early. I thought I'd share this one because everyone experiences it. When I first started my YouTube channel, I felt like a fraud. I was like, who am I to build a YouTube channel? You're not a huge influencer, you're not running $1 billion company. What do you have to say? I had this feeling of, you shouldn't do this, you're not good enough. Here's the thing, over the last few years, I've realized that you're not an imposter, you're just early. Anyone that gets good at anything has normally done the work. The people that you follow, the people that you look up to, have already done 5, 10, 30 years of work. And when you're just starting out, you're not an imposter, you're just going through the same challenges that everybody faces to get what they want. See, you're just early. Confidence isn't something you start with, you build it up over time. For example, I put so much effort into making these YouTube videos, but I'm still refining my voice. I try to be me, trying to share from the heart. I'd love to wake up one day and be this perfectly polished YouTuber, but the reality is it just takes time. And what's the one thing that Alex Hormozi says? You don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having stock of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your doubts. 8, culture is built in the boring moments. We all love to talk about company culture, the morning breakfast, the monthly catch-ups, the inside jokes. In my business, we do all these things and some. But let me be clear, real culture isn't built by that morning breakfast, that monthly catch-up, that pool table in the office. It's built in the boring moments. Let's say somebody fucks up. How do you and the team respond to it? Let's say somebody does an amazing job. How do you and the team respond to it? See, culture is built in the micro moments. Something that I love doing is giving everybody knuckles. It's something so subtle, it's not too formal but casual, and it's a nice way to greet someone. Or if somebody's done an amazing job for the day, I might get out my phone, flick them a text with a knuckle. It's something so small but so powerful. The thing is, culture is modeled by your team and it starts at the top. Like a child, right? They learn by observation. The same is with your team. Lead the culture in the small moments and they'll take your lead. 9, most problems are communication problems. Here's the thing that I learned the hard way. Most problems aren't people problems, they are communication problems. See, I know when I get in my head, I think that, oh, I told the person this or that, but the truth is that was a conversation that I had with myself, not the other person. And then what happens? I get pissed off because something isn't done. And this doesn't only happen for me, but it happens for so many other people. So often we think we communicate well, but we don't. How can we be pissed off or frustrated at someone if they haven't done something or fucked something up if we didn't communicate it properly? So before you assume somebody did something wrong by you and messed up, look in the mirror and ask yourself, did I really express this clearly? Now when I go into meetings, I'll normally bullet point a few things down. Then I'll express them to the people and then I'll tick them off. And in that way, I know I've said what I needed to say. Then only then can you be pissed off when the person hasn't done what you've asked them. 10, pain is the price of progress. Just have a listen to this banger.
Do you want the pain of discipline or the pain of regret? The pain of progress or the pain of regret? When no one's watching, gotta earn my respect. All along, it's just me versus myself.
Anyway, what I'm trying to teach is that growth hurts. Think about it. When you go to the gym, right? If you're not pushing yourself a little harder and feeling that burn, your muscles won't grow, right? And the same is with you and your business. Starting your business will hurt because you're broke. Scaling your business is going to hurt because cash flow is going to kill you. Even success hurts because people will try and pull you down. And that's life. Understand that if you want to get good at anything, it's going to hurt, especially in business. You're going to have some challenging days, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. If you come across something challenging, lean into it, and growth is around the corner. 11, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. And yes, I got this straight out of Atomic Habits. See, goals are exciting. That vision board is exciting. It gives you motivation to pursue your dreams, right? But in business, understand that challenges will come. They're going to test you. But goals will rarely cause you to rise up to the occasion. And what Atomic Habits says is that you don't rise to your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. I like to call it your baseline. When you're under stress, under pressure, when your willpower is exhausted, habits will take over. And these habits will dictate your future and the future of your business. So instead of thinking, what's my goal? Think, what's my standard? Because we can all have these big goals and these big dreams, but unless we get the habits to back them, they won't come to fruition. 12, busyness is a form of procrastination. See, there was a time when I thought me being busy was a good thing. If my calendar was full, I knew I was busy. If my to-do list was massive, I knew I was busy. I thought I was actually being productive because I was being busy. Now when I look at what I was actually doing, I was actually avoiding the things I needed to do. It was so easy for me to catch up with someone that was booked in my calendar or tick something off my to-do list, but it wasn't so easy for me to have that tough conversation that would increase performance and drive more sales. See, what I found out the hard way was that I kept busy to avoid doing the tasks that actually made an impact. But when I slowed down, did some reflection, I was able to see what needed to be done and ignored the rest. Sometimes in business, you need to slow down to speed up. If you're busy, ask yourself this: is this really moving the needle the most? If not, take some time out and get back to doing what is actually needed to grow your business. 13, data is the best feedback. I once had this team member that was telling me all the right things. I'm like, this person is absolutely crushing it. I was somewhat under their spell. I believed everything they said. Over time though, I started hearing people complaining about this person and things started to slip through the cracks, and I finally decided to check the numbers. And spoiler alert, they were doing terrible. See, the thing is, we are emotional human beings. We have feelings and we love buying into stories. These are great and all, but in business, data doesn't lie. The more data you have, the better decision making you can have. See, I love people. I'm empathetic. I have feelings. But one thing in business is not to be caught up by this shit and recognize that business is business and data tells the story. It's not about having the best intuition, which I believe is important in business, but also understanding what story the data tells you. 14, the real flex is building a business that doesn't need you. So for the longest time, I thought that being indispensable was something to strive for. I'm the best and no one can do it but me. But then I eventually realized that if I was the only one doing everything, that I was the biggest bottleneck of the business. What happened if I stopped doing what I was doing? Then the business would stop. I was done, right? And I've said this before, if you're the only one that can do everything, then you don't have a business, you have a job. The real flex is building a business that runs without you, right? Imagine building a business like McDonald's. It has an amazing systems and processes that ensure shit gets done. It has a Hamburg university to build the team up to run the business. It's not about being lazy, it's about being smart. Then you can work on the vision, you can work on the mission of the business, and you can work on inspiring your team for greatness. 15, master it before you move. The world that we live in glorifies innovation, change, trying something new, reinventing yourself, and I'm all for this, but here's what you need to know. Most people seek instant gratification and don't have the patience to really see something through. See, when building a business, it will take time. Most people are looking for the business to go from 0 to $1 million overnight. And if they don't get that, they give up and move on to the next thing. In business, you need to stay the course. It might take you a decade to build a successful business that runs without you. And if you aren't prepared to stay the course, you might as well give up before you even start. In life, master one thing first, then move on if that doesn't work out. Understand that things take time, and in business, patience is your best friend. And there you have it, 10 years of brutally honest business advice that I unfortunately had to learn the hard way. And in case you're a big fan of brutal truths, here are 34 brutal truths that I now know at 34 that I wish I knew at 20.